Welcome to the Boardman 5,000 meter championship cross country course. We are now beginning the course at the start, which borders Glenwood Avenue, and we're heading in an easterly direction up toward the area that is located in between Boardman High School and Glenwood Junior High School. As we approach the top of the hill, there will be a red post on the left. There will be a slight left turn at this red post, and it's approximately 275 meters into the race at this point. This cross-country course has been in existence since 1986 with a few modifications over the years. I'll point out those modifications, particularly those that affect this year's race, as we approach them. We're now approaching the first red pole on the course at 275 meters. Going to make a slight left turn, and as you approach the area, as the runners approach this area, they'll notice that they're going to run through two blue indicators that are located on the outside of the guardrail. Once they cross over the road and make a slight left turn at the red post here, they are at 400 meters into the race. We're now heading north on the course, and we're running parallel to the driveways that are located next to the parking lots at the school. There will be a slight left-hand turn as we cross the gravel road, followed by a slight right-hand turn. We're trying to keep the runners as within 20 meters of the guardrail to the left. Now as we approach the large oak tree on the right, we're going to be making a right-hand turn. This is the first significant alteration of the course for this year. We have widened this area in this particular spot, and instead of turning as we had in the past, we are going to go straight through the two blue poles into a wooded area that has been carved out and replaced with a granulated trail that is going to lead us to the baseball diamond. Once we exit the trail, we're going to be making a slight left and heading toward the left field foul pole and follow the baseball field around. Midway through this wooded area behind the baseball field and just slightly past the large flagpole here, we are approaching the 800-meter mark into the race. We will continue to be running around the outside of the outfield fence of the baseball field and turning right at the right field foul pole into an area that is covered with granulated slag as a pathway between the football stadium to the left and the baseball field to the right. Just past the dugout on the right, we are approaching the short, steep hill that is located on the course. Once we crest the hill, there will be a pole on the right. We will be turning right. And just before we reach the second yellow pole is the 1,000-meter mark. After a slight right turn at this pole, we will now be proceeding in a northwesterly direction toward a large oak tree. You'll notice the red pole on the left, turning at this point around both red poles. And at this point, we're now beginning to crest the hill and heading downhill toward the middle school football practice field. This area located between the parking lot on the right and the fitness center and the stadium on the left. Crossing over the road again, we will be running to the left of the discus cage that you see ahead of us. What do you want to do with this cage? To the next yellow pole located near the end of the football practice field. We will be turning right. And following the field here. On race day, both sides of the course will be marked by a white line that is 15 to 20 meters wide to accommodate the large fields that we're anticipating for the Spartan Invitational this year. Once we crest the hill here, the runners will be looking for the next major turn, which will be a left turn and a red pole, which will be located at the end of the band parking lot. As we approach the turn at the end of the band practice lot, this is the 1 mile mark into the race. Turning left at this red pole, we are now going to be looking at another modification of the course this year. We have softened the turn that we had as we were approaching the entrance to Boardman High School. This year it is wider. We will be looking at a yellow pole, making a slight right and heading toward the soccer goal posts. There will be 2 yellow poles there. Turning right around both yellow poles, heading toward Glenwood Avenue and making another right-hand turn. We'll have a long straightaway. Approaching the area that we are now parallel to the starting area for the athletes before the beginning of the race. The poles that you're looking at here on the right will have the start banner on it. Starting line is approximately 15 meters in front of those. We're now approaching a wooded area. We're going to be turning right at a large elm tree and following a granulated trail that has been carved out through the wooded area. At approximately this area right here, we're looking at the 2K mark. The trail at this red pole will be making a slight left turn into the wooded area. There will be a number of markers for the athletes as they approach them to run around those markers that they have there. This area through the wooded area is approximately 15 to 20 meters wide. Again, it will be lined on race day to accommodate the larger fields that we have in this race. We're now approaching the end of the wooded area. On the right-hand side as we approach, there will be 2 yellow poles, making another right-hand turn around each one of those poles and following the markers that will be placed out there. We'll be running through 2 blue poles To the left is the entrance driveway that comes into the Glenwood Junior High School. The large tree here on the right, be making another right-hand turn indicated by the yellow pole. And be running now in a southerly direction with the Glenwood Junior High School parking lot to our left. As we approach the light pole on the left, just a slight distance past that will be the 2,500 meter mark, halfway point of the 5K varsity race. We will have mats placed there that will record the chips, and for those of you that have smartphones, you'll be able to get some results on those, and as a result there will also be some announcements made as far as the teams that are leading at that time, as well as some of the runners up near the front of each of the races. Just past the red pole on the left, we'll be approaching a second red pole. At that point, we will be rejoining the course for a second loop. Again, we'll be following that until you see the blue indicators on each side of the guardrail for the runners to run through. Crossing the road, making a slight left-hand turn, paralleling the parking lot. On race day, there will be a number of banners that will be looped along these posts here to indicate this is the avenue for the runners who are running north, going up toward the tree to be able to make their change, so that there will be no confusion with the runners running the opposite way. As we turn to the right and head toward the wooded area, a small wooded path, we are reaching the 3K mark of the race. Crushed limestone path. At the end of it, we'll turn left and begin looking for the left field foul pole again. Once we reach that, we will now follow the outfield fence around the baseball field. Just as we exit this wooded area behind the baseball field is approximately the mile 2 of the race at this point. Continuing following the baseball outfield fence around the baseball field, we'll turn right at the right field foul pole and go through the pathway that has been created between the football field on the left and the baseball field on the right. Just past the score box for the baseball field. We'll now begin our ascent up this short steep hill, and at the yellow pole we will make a right turn. Another slight right turn at the next right pole. And now running towards the red pole at the base of the large oak tree. Left-hand turn. Running downhill toward the stadium on the left and Boardman High School in the center. After just making a slight left past this telephone pole, we'll now recross the road in between the guardrail barriers. A slight right-hand turn around the discus cage. And a harder right-hand turn at the junior high school practice football field. Again, we will be following this until we crest the hill and be looking for the red post at the end of the band practice lot. The area to the left of us is the student parking lot for the high school. It'll be open for parking for all spectators who are coming to the race that day. In this area, as we're approaching into the band practice lot on the left, we are at the 4,000 meter mark. Turning left here, we will follow the course on the wider turns around the soccer practice field. The two yellow poles at the soccer goals at the practice field. And as we make this turn, and before we reach the yellow pole, the next yellow pole, we're at 800 meters from the finish. Just past the start area. Traveling north, we're looking to make a right-hand turn and re-enter the wooded area on the northwest side of the course. Another left turn into the woods. Making a left turn, and we're proceeding along the trail in the woods. And just before we make the right turn to come out of the woods, we're at approximately 400 meters from the finish line. At race day, the course will be double white lined on both sides to avoid any confusion and direction for the athletes, as well as officials placed at every major turn assigned to those areas to give directions to the athletes in case there's any confusion. Approaching the final stages of the race now, we're going to be turning right. And as we reach the second tree after that right-hand turn, we're approximately 185 meters from the finish line. In this area on race day, there will be a medical tent for athletes in distress in case there's any kind of emergency situation that needs to be taken care of, with trained medical personnel available to assist the athletes. And as we cross this point, we have now completed 5,000 meters.